What's going on, my fellow Daft Punk fans? Today I'll be covering the history of Julian Casablancas and Daft Punk's Unreleased track, which has been teased for the past 9 years and only now is being released. Our story begins in 2010 when Daft Punk were introduced to Julian Casablancas through a mutual friend.
When did you first meet Julian?
We met in our studio where we were 2010, where we were working still on Tron.
Okay.
Through a mutual friend and collaborator, and in fact he asked our friend if we wanted to have a cup of coffee and just meet and have a chat, and obviously, of course, we said yes, because Thomas and me have been like the biggest fans of the Strokes since the 90s, and so we met, and
The two parties were fans of each other's work, with Daft Punk stating in one interview that after they had heard the Strokes' debut album, they realized that was the band they dreamed of being when they first started making music. And Julian once stating that one of his favorite songs was Veritas Quo by Daft Punk. Needless to say, they were excited to work together. So in March of 2011, Julian was invited to the studio with Daft Punk to record a song for Random Access Memories, the album they were currently working on. Instant Crush would be the result of this session.
When the Daft Punk album came out, Random Access Memories, I got to talk with Guy-Manuel and Tomas. Instant Crush, I talked to them in depth about, and for the record, it's the best song on the album. I've played it many times on the radio.
You're very nice,
and
thank you.
You're welcome. What's your takeaway? Do you like the song?
Yeah. I'm honored that they let me join their gleaming, triumphant record. They told me the whole scene that they wanted, the whole story, and they had like this kind of picture of this like summer crush. I was kind of based on their story. I was like, you sure you don't want to call it Summer Crush? Because it was like like meeting a girl when you're like a kid in some place, but you're like kind of with your parents, and some magic happens, and it's like, but you kind of never see her again, and it was just like some moment in time that you'll never forget or something. Anyway, they were describing it better and more French, more, I don't know, nostalgic, romantic, or whatever. But yeah, so I wrote down the specific lyrics which is a good exercise in like showing you the mystery and trying to make lyrics work, because it clearly did that, but it just didn't work. It just didn't it was just somehow just flat. And so then we did the opposite, and we just basically, I sang a bunch, I just made stuff up, and and then whatever just sounded good kind of became lyrics, and that actually weirdly gave that feeling more than the ones that were like specifically like, I saw you on that beach that one summer day, or whatever it was.
Like a Grease song.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I mean, that's kind of the vibe, though. They got the guy, what is it, Paul Williams?
Yeah, Paul Williams.
He actually wrote lyrics for it at first, and I had those, and I was kind of working. I had like my own version that was the story, and then I kind of mixed some of his, because I was trying to just, I wanted to, collab and be down or whatever, but it just didn't. It felt kind of like that, like those like professional lyrics that make total sense and kind of hit it on the head, but that artistically kind of don't have the same magic inspiratu power.
With Get Lucky setting multiple streaming records upon its release, it would be hard to imagine another track on the album overtaking it, but Instant Crush did exactly that, and now sits as the most streamed track on the album, at least on Spotify. This is all to say that Daft Punk and Julian Casablancas were a match made in heaven, so when it was revealed that they actually recorded a second track together, which was never released, fans were eager to hear it. To my knowledge, the first time Julian ever mentioned this second track was back on March 30th, 2014, during an interview at Lollapalooza in Chile.
And about your solo career, what is going on now? Are you going to record a second solo album? What is going on now?
Yeah, we're finishing a record, the band, the Voids.
Are you going to include the collaborations? You have done a lot of collaborations. Daft Punk.
Include. Oh, on the record? Oh, not on the record, no. No, although there is another. It's Star Wars, sorry. Daft Punk song that we worked on. That was cool. Maybe I'll get those guys to. We can do that one day soon. Finish it, but yeah. But not on this record, no.
Later that year, on November 6th, 2014, Julian's second band, The Voids, were playing a show at the Wiltern in Los Angeles. Thomas from Daft Punk was at this show, and Julian took the opportunity to talk to him about the unreleased track, telling him that they got to put that song out. The next day, Julian had an interview and told all of this to the reporter. He went on to describe the track, saying, "It's cool. It's definitely 1/10 as populicious as Instant Crush. It's a song that goes 4 half steps up, moving, and it's just that on cycle, on repeat, and it's super bizarre and sounds like jazz, modern, weird." He also added that it's weirder than any song on the record that he knows of. In the following days, several more articles were written about this unreleased track that Julian described, but still, nothing came of it, and time marched forward. To my knowledge, the next time this track was brought up was on June 20th, 2018, when Julian was meeting with fans after a Voids show in Brooklyn.
And there's also a song that you made with Daft Punk, but remember you said there is no not that one, the other one, the unreleased one. We're gonna try to put that up. Okay.
This clip had fans excited that the track may finally be on the way, but once again, time marched forward with no update on the mysterious track. Fast forward to February 22nd, 2021. Daft Punk disbands, and pretty much all hope of ever hearing the unreleased track dies. But, exactly 2 years later, on February 22nd, 2023, Daft Punk announced that they would be releasing a 10th anniversary edition of Random Access Memories, including several outtakes and demos. Fans quickly realized that one of the tracks was probably the unreleased Julian Casablancas collab, and of the 9 additional tracks listed on the 10th anniversary edition, only 2 seemed to be eligible candidates. The track titled Infinity Repeating seemed to be the most likely candidate though, given the use of the word repeating, which is how Julian Casablancas described it back in 2014. But, with a May 12th release date, fans would have to wait several months to see if our speculations were correct. Fortunately, on April 25th, Daft Punk teased a couple of seconds of one of the 9 additional tracks, and the next day confirmed that it was Infinity Repeating, and that it was in fact the unreleased Julian Casablancas collab. It was also a bit of a surprise to me that The Voids are credited on the track. Given that they formed in 2013 and Infinity Repeating is a demo from 2013, this probably would have been one of the first things they worked on. And don't even get me started on what this might mean in regards to Daft Punk's timeline. To my knowledge, Random Access Memories was finished around the middle of 2012, and Julian recorded Instant Crush in March of 2011. So why and how is this demo from 2013? My personal theory is that Instant Crush was going to have a proper physical release like Get Lucky did, but it never came to fruition, and Infinity Repeating was going to be a B-side on that release. Like I said, this is just a theory, but I really can't wrap my head around why else this demo would be from 2013 when the rest of the album was finished in 2012. Anyways, that brings us to today. Just a couple more weeks until the Ram anniversary album comes out and we finally get to hear that mysterious second collab that has been teased for the past 9 years. Fingers crossed that it's as weird and bizarre as Julian says it is.